Switch over.
Get maneuver. Stay on target. We're too close. Stay on target.
Conversation anyway.
You know, sex, drugs, rock and roll, chips, dips, chain dips.
What's happening? All stuff.
His name is Long Duck Dong.
There's some Chinaman named after a duck's dork.
Oh, no more Yankee, my wanky. The donga need food.
You okay, Jose?
I'm your father, Luke. Give in to the dark side of the force, you now.
Hey, we're live. Yeah, there's a new intro. What do we think? Get down with it. Well, that was pretty adult.
It's just me for now.
So, yeah. So tonight we got a great show. We are going to talk about some of the stuff that we did in the military. And am I getting feedback here from somebody? No, you guys. That's my boondog Saints.
There, yeah.
Oh yeah, there we go. So we're going to talk about some of the fun stories that we had in the military. I was in the Marine Corps. You couldn't guess. Dustin was in the Army, and we probably have a bunch of funny stories. I know I do. And today we're going to.
I actually saw you sent me a picture of when you were a young Marine.
Yeah, I know.
It looks like a totally different person.
It does. It's like I ate that Marine twice.
That's hilarious.
This is what happens when you make money and you have good living. You can
man.
buy food. Let me center myself. All right, cool. So with everything that's going on in the world, we're just going to have fun today.
Yeah, we got some cool people in the room tonight, too. Check out all these folks.
Oh, wow. We got, you know what? I just want to give a special shout out to Mel and Nettie, Living Free Zip Codeless. They are so awesome. Thank you so much. They ran my whole playlist and commented on every single video, every single one. They commented on all of them. We have a special guest. He's backstage right now, and you all know him. You all love him, and sometimes he broadcasts with his pants on. Let's bring him in, too. Here we go. There we go.
There he is. He's off to the side.
Himself.
They
He
just
got
came
done
off.
doing a live.
They just came off live, so he's just kind of jumping from one to another. I was
He
just
is.
in their chat there. They had a good live tonight.
But let's go over
Thanks
some
to
of the,
some. You're supposed to wear pants on these things?
well, let's see. Scroll down. Let's see. We're putting you on the spot. We want to see the package.
No, we don't.
One angle.
No, we don't. That's good.
Oh, man. I feel like an Army sandwich now. I got Marine Corps over here. I don't know how to do this. I got Marine Corps on one side and Air Force on the other. I'm the Army sandwich.
So tonight we're going to talk about some of the funny stories we had when we were in the service.
I can't wait.
And, huh? We're lagging over there. That's okay. We'll keep going. So who wants to start? Dustin, do you have anything like super funny that kind of embarrassing you haven't ever told anybody and you just want to share it to millions of people on YouTube?
I don't have anything that I've never told anybody.
All right, I just dropped out, so I missed whatever. Sorry.
Oh, you're back.
It's his Navy internet.
No. Yeah. I do have funny stories. Well, let me start from the beginning because not from the very beginning, because I have a bunch of funny stories from basic training. I was always in trouble in basic training because I was laughing at people. That was my biggest problem. And my last name is Wagoner, so that's where we got our channel name, Wayward Wags. And so, but all the drill sergeants, they just called me Wag, Private Wag, and it stuck. And I was Wag through my whole military career. I don't really have a specific funny story there. Just everything was funny in basic training, and I got really, really strong because of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got. Go ahead.
So when I went to basic training at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and at the time it was all male basic training. So it was all male gender and no females, no female cadre, no female drill sergeants, all males. And so the males, they wear the big round browns, the drill sergeants do.
Mm-hmm.
So when I shipped from Fort Sill over to Fort Sam Houston to go through my medical training, it was not all male any longer. But I had never even seen a female in the military ever. So I get to Fort Sam Houston. I didn't even know that there was going to be drill sergeants there when I went for my medic training. But to my surprise, there were drill sergeants there. And it's the same thing when you get off the bus at basic training. You get off the bus at AIT, and it's a shark attack, and everybody's, oh, no, get over here and do this, whatever, get your bags and get on the thing and shut your face, and all that stuff. And so I get off the bus, and immediately right here is this female, this angry female who I presumed was Australian because she was wearing this funny looking hat, and I had never even seen a female in the military before. So she's yelling at me, and I'm like, yes, ma'am. And she's like, I will murder you if you call me ma'am again. It's drill sergeant. I'm like, you're not a drill sergeant. Because I had never seen one before in the hat like that. I thought all drill sergeants wore the big round brown. So yeah, she made me really strong too.
So when we got God, where do I even start, man? So I'm afraid of heights, right? So we're in our basic training in the Marine Corps, we have to rappel. I don't like rappelling at all. So we had to tie our own harness out of a rope. Right. So I paid extra special attention during that part of class. Like I wasn't the one goofing off. I'm like, I'm watching this dude with a hawk, razors. So anyway, we crawl. I was in San Diego, went through boot camp in San Diego. So I go up the tower, right? And I'm standing up there and the guy hooks me in. And the drill instructor's big, huge dude. It's like 6'5", full of muscles. He's just the biggest guy I've ever seen. And I look at him, I said, I'm not going. He looked at me, he goes, yes, you are. I said, no, I'm not. He goes, oh, yeah, you are. He picked me up and threw me off the tower, and I bounced all the way down. And then when I got to the bottom, the other drill instructor thought it was hilarious to make me do it 8 more times.
Oh, man.
I was like, dude. So I got over my fear of heights, kind of, but I didn't get over my fear of the drill instructor because that dude just launched me off the tower. You're supposed to go straight down. I kind of went out in an arc, and I hit that tower. Wham! And then kind of went straight down into the sawdust.
If you tighten your brake hand too fast, you will slam right up against that wall, man.
I didn't have a choice. I ran out of rope.
And, I was actually a drill sergeant at Fort Sill 10 years later, and we did rappelling. And like you said, we made the recruits tie their own seats. We call them seats. And so my motto when I was a drill sergeant is, hey, you tied it, you ride it.
Yeah. Do you have anything over there in the Air Force? They didn't make you do that kind of stuff in the Air Force, did they?
Well, I mean, it was after our afternoon nap, usually.
After cookies and tea.
We didn't get cookies until the 5th week, so it was kind of rough. No, in all seriousness, and I may make some people upset or mad. I mean, and I know a lot of people because I grew up on the coast of North Carolina near Camp Lejeune or Lejeune, however you want to say it. And so everybody over there went to Parris Island. So they always said the West Coast Marines went to basic training that was even easier than the Coast Guard. So I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just saying. But but in all honesty, basic training for me was more of a joke. I was kind of like you, Dustin. I just kind of I got in trouble for laughing more than anything else.
Yeah.
Towards the end of it, we had to do what the Air Force at the time was calling the confidence course, which is just an obstacle course of not very hard obstacles. And we got in trouble there because we kept laughing. It was like, this is it? This is it? Really? And I mean, it was the same. I mean, because I live near Fort Bragg. Well, when I'm not in my RV, I live near Fort Bragg. And so it's the same obstacles that I see there that the 82nd has, but they were smaller.
Yeah.
Scaled down Air Force versions, I guess. But no, base training was easy. But I did have a female what we call training instructors, a TI.
Yeah.
And the weird thing about her was her sister was my PE teacher in high school.
Oh wow.
How weird is that?
That
Oh
is
wow.
weird.
We
and when
didn't have any females.
Yeah, we had the females, and it was me and another guy in my flight from my high school, and when she read off our name, she's like, and she saw we were from, on the little sheet they have. She's like, "Do you know?" And I can't remember the person's name. And we're like, "Ma'am, yes, ma'am," or whatever we had to say to them back then. And
we are the only platoon in the history of the boot camp. The whole platoon caught crabs. I have no idea how we catch crabs, but all 80
Don't
of us
ask, don't
had
tell.
crabs. So they made us stand online and pull our pants down, and our junk was hanging out there. And we had the female corpsman come through and inspect all of us with that. What light do they use, Dustin?
So like the ultraviolet little guy.
Yeah. So we had the ultraviolet. We were throwing the mattresses out the second story window, but the whole platoon caught crabs. That was awesome. We called it our own private petting zoo.
Did they use the little tiny lights?
No. How the hell do you catch crabs in boot camp? You're surrounded by a bunch of guys.
I ain't gonna touch that one.
I don't judge, man. I do not judge. Live your life.
You do you.
Yeah.
Only me,
Yeah.
So we had a whole platoon itching. It was great during a forced march.
Oh, I bet.
Man.
We didn't do that.
We
didn't catch crabs, and we didn't do forced marches.
Oh, see what we did. We did 30-mile humps.
I've actually heard now that the Air Force is doing their boot camp online.
Yeah, probably. Well, I'll be
good
honest with you. My son-in-law he graduated from Air Force basic training almost a year ago now.
Yeah.
And I told him before he went, I said, just shut up.
Yep.
And stay behind somebody, and you'll be good to go. And then when I saw him at graduation weekend, he just looked at me and he was like, I cannot believe how easy this was. I did stuff in Civil Air Patrol that was harder. I was like, told you.
It's the easiest thing in the world and when I was a drill sergeant, I didn't realize it when I was a trainee, but when I was a drill sergeant, I used to tell them, like, look, all you gotta do is be where you're supposed to be, when we tell you to be there, wearing what we tell you to wear, and do what we tell you to do. I mean, that's easy.
And shut up. And just shut up.
Yeah. My drill instructor did not like me. I don't know if you had it in the service where you had to stand online and you had to stick your hands out parallel to the ground so they can inspect your fingernails and your ears and your teeth. Yeah. And then they ask you if you have any medical or personal problems to report. Well, it was the last day before graduation, so I had the big drill instructor. It was just me. This guy just did not like me. He stood in front of me and he goes, do you have anything to report? I said, sir, this recruit has no medical problems, but one personal problem to report at this time. He goes, what's that? I said, sir, I'm really going to miss you.
Oh, no.
Did he hug you? Did you get a hug?
That was the end. I made puddles in the quarterdeck, man, of being bent for like 3 hours of push-ups and sit-ups and leg lifts. It was like the Jane Fonda workout. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, the workouts were awesome. And I got lots of exercise because, like you said, I was just laughing at everything. I thought everything was funny. And when they asked me, hey, Private Wag, you think that's funny? Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I do.
We'll get down there with them then. Help them do some push-ups.
So that was basic. They asked me, they said, recruit, if you're scared to go down the rappelling tower, what are you going to do? I said, sir, I'm going to be in a tank. They haven't figured out a way to push those out of airplanes yet.
No.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have.
Not manned generally.
Not an Abrams. You push Abrams out of airplanes?
Not an Abrams.
I was in an Abrams. That's 70 tons of fun, baby.
Well, when you run out of bombs, you got to do something.
Yeah, just drop Marines on them. So then we went to Fort Knox, Kentucky, and that was my first time ever on an Army installation as a Marine. And that was different. You guys do things a lot different than the jarheads do over there. You guys
never been to Fort Knox, so I can't really speak about that. But I know that if we have other branches of service that come onto Army installations, generally, like if they get put into like our housing, they get like a allowance, a substandard housing allowance, because housing is not up to Air Force standards. So where Army just lives there because that's the place they give you to live. If the Air Force gets put in there to live, they get extra money for that.
Yeah, when I was stationed in Korea, we maintained stuff at all the Army bases all over the peninsula, and because I guess the Army can't predict the weather, so they get the Air Force to do it for them. Because there's these little detachments of Air Force people, and that's at least one. Yeah, there's these little Air Force detachments at all these Army bases in Korea, and they're just the weather folks. But these guys are all E4 and below, and they would get because you got the rooms that share the bathroom, and in most of the barracks. Well, one Air Force guy would get the 2 rooms, and that way he'd have his own private bath.
Wow.
But all the Army guys, E5 and below, were 3 to a room.
Oh yeah, on each side.
On each side, yeah. And it was funny because plus the Army guys, you got your foot locker with all your gear and stuff. We don't have that in the Air Force. We got a small suitcase.
Got your luggage.
We got our luggage, and we got somebody carrying it for us.
Louis Vuitton over here.
Exactly. So these guys, they would say like, oh, well, where's all your stuff at? It was like, oh, it's in the living room, which is on the other side of the bathroom. This is just my bedroom, or vice versa. And then again, there's E5s. The NCO is looking at this little E3 and E4, and has got, like, well, hey, I guess you signed the wrong contract, man. But
we got Army hand-me-downs. So like our Alice pack, our backpacks that we had, our Alice packs, they were like had holes in on the bottom of them where we would sit there and actually stitch them up. The Army would throw them away, and the Marine Corps would grab them and go, "Ooh, look at this! We can make this work." So anything the Army threw away, we got and we made better, sort of.
I do have an interesting after basic training story.
Okay.
My training instructor, he harped on us all the time for some weird reason about staying away from the female trainees. Like we couldn't be around them anyway, we didn't. I mean, there was no way to get around them. Well, my tech school was on Lackland, so I never left Lackland for the first year of my military service. I got on a bus and went to the other side of the base after basic training. I saw this guy walking around, and he had the same amount of stripes as I did. My training instructor on base, he had 2 stripes. I had 2 stripes. Well, what happened to him? I got to find out he got caught messing around with a female trainee.
There you go. Man down.
Yeah. Man down. So,
I just like going on the Army base, and the Army guys looked at us because you guys had those Fidel Castro covers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? We have the octagon cover. So all the Fidel Castro guys were trying to iron it off to make it look like the octagon covers because they liked our covers better, our hats better than what they had. We thought that was hilarious.
Hey, we wore baseball hats.
By stupidly going to the beret.
But, you had a beret?
Well, yeah, we went to beret later in my career, which was super stupid.
Yeah, because only about 5 people know how to wear it right.
Well, luckily, like right at the time we were going to beret, I was going to be a drill sergeant. So the first 2 years of that craziness, I got to wear the round brown. So I didn't have to worry about the beret at first.
Well, drill instructor is awesome because you get to screw with the troops.
Oh yeah, it was the best job that I've had in the military by far. Now, not work hours wise, but job satisfaction and fun and just having a good time. It was a really good job.
Yeah, well, being in the tanks for me was awesome. We had a new battalion commander, and he decided to make all the Marines. We're Marines. We're going to go on a hump. Everybody go and draw weapons, right? So we went in the armory, and we all drew our little 9mm Berettas, and we put them in trash.
Tell everybody what a hump is.
Oh, hump? Yeah, I'm sorry. A forced march, not by choice. Like 30 miles of walking with all your gear. So we went and got our firearms, which were 9mm Berettas. So we put them in Ziploc sandwich bags and zipped them up because we didn't have to clean them, and we stuck them in our shoulder holsters. Well, we reported on the parade deck, and the skipper saw us. He goes, "What in the hell are you guys doing?" We fall out with our firearms like you told us. He goes, "Where's your M16s? Where's your M60s?" Sir, we're tankers. We don't usually do this. We ride into combat. We don't walk into combat. If we're walking, there's a problem.
Yeah.
So that was kind of funny there. But anyway, go ahead.
I did a little bit of everything because I was a medic. So I've been in armor, infantry, cav, all kinds of different types of units. So I've ridden, I've walked, I've ridden aircrafts and all kinds of cool stuff. Actually, Blue Wave Odyssey is in here tonight too. He was actually in one of the same units that I was in, 1st Armor Division, for a little while. So we didn't serve together, but we did serve in the same unit. So appreciate your service, Bob.
Yeah. So what was the best thing you rode in out of the three? Start our epic adventure. You start.
The best thing I rode in?
Yeah, for in the service and not your car.
Oh. Well, oddly enough,
Military transport.
I never even
Uber?
flew. Yeah, I never flew in an Air Force plane until 2 years ago.
Wow.
And I spent over 30 years in the Air Force and never flew on a plane. Every time I deployed or went overseas, it was on a contract. I flew in a contract aircraft. So the only military transport I've ever used, besides like just a regular car, truck on a base, is I've flown in a C-17, and I've rode in a Humvee, and that's the list that I can talk about. I've ridden in some other things, but
I can talk about.
we can't talk about those.
Yeah.
Dustin, what'd you ride in? What was your best one?
Man, I've rode in all kinds of stuff. I don't like flying, so I don't consider that cool. But other people might consider it cool. I've flown in all kinds of aircraft, because I was a medic, so we rode in air evac. I wasn't a flight medic, but I did load patients on aircrafts. I did that training when went through my individual training to be a medic. We rode on those aircrafts. So the Chinooks are really cool. The big, long helicopters with 2 propellers, one on each end, look like big green school buses that fly somehow. Those are pretty cool. And usually they got the tailgate open, so the gunner's just hanging out the back with a little tether. He's got his 50 cal hanging. His feet are hanging out the back. He's like swinging off the back tailgate. And so when they're doing airborne operations out the back of the Chinooks, it's pretty cool because you got 2 lines of guys that are just jumping out the back of Chinooks. I've rode in C-130s, doing in-flight medical coverage for the airborne guys that are jumping. And on the ground, I'd have to say the M1. I've rode in an M1. I've rode in Bradleys, Strikers, Up Armor Humvees. I learned how to drive a stick in a deuce and a half.
I bet that was fun.
Yeah, that was cool. No power steering.
No.
And I weighed like $130 in Korea trying to drive this big thing. And if you don't get that thing lined right up, Sergeant Major's about to get you.
Get you, yeah. So I've flown in a C-130 in Japan. We were going on a hop somewhere, and obviously there's no seats in that. You sit on the mesh nets inside, and you sit sideways. You don't sit facing the front of the aircraft. And the loadmaster's walking around, and I'm sitting at the front by where the pilots are. They're in an elevated deck above the flight deck in the back, and all of a sudden all this hydraulic fluid starts pouring out of the top of the aircraft.
That's normal.
And I was like, "Oh crap!" So I called the loadmaster over. I'm like, "Dude, you got a leak." He goes, "Oh, we've been looking for that all week. Keep an eye on it. When it stops, let me know so we can pour more hydraulic fluid back in."
In flight.
I was like, really?
Yeah.
Go Marine Corps. Awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, stick your finger in it.
Yeah.
It was just pouring out, man. I was like, "Oh, we're dead." The other thing I got to ride, well, obviously tanks. That was like the best. When you're 19 years old, you're given a tank, and holy crap, we used to jump them like the Dukes of Hazzard. I've jumped 70 tons, 10 feet in the air over ditches and stuff, and tried to break it, and you just can't break it. I've ridden down. Yeah, we were out in the field one time, and somebody thought it would be funny to give me X-Lax and said slipped it into my chocolate. Isn't that these are the stories I want to get out here. So anyway, so I'm sitting I'm chewing on this chocolate, and about 3 hours later, it hits you, and you're in the middle of the field, man. And you're in the middle of 29 Palms out in the backcountry back there, by Barham at the radio place, and that hits you, and you're sitting in the back of a deuce and a half, hitting every bump while you're trying to hold it in. Yeah, that was good times out there. That was funny.
Just let it go, man.
Just gotta let it flow, buddy.
That was horrible.
Just enjoy the ride.
Everybody pranks everybody.
What was the first military vehicle that you drove? I know, Michael, you said it's been pretty recently, but what was the first?
Actually, I've driven a deuce and a half before.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
they're a beast.
First military vehicle was tank.
Yeah. Right out the gate, huh? Welcome to Marine Corps. Jump in the tank.
Drive this. We got it stuck. I'll have pictures. I'll put it up on the Facebook where I buried the front of the tank. It took us 4 hours to dig it out.
Oh, man.
Nice.
Yeah. Go drive this. Yeah.
The first vehicle that I drove was it's called a 577, and it's an armored personnel carrier, but it's not like a tank. It's like a big Coke can. It's made out of aluminum. And so this was like a medevac. Well, I take it back. The 113s were more of like the medevac track vehicles, and the 577 were like the field aid station. You could pop the talk out the back, and then you set up your litters and all that stuff in there. So you were more like where the PA and the doc and all those folks were in one location. The 113s would run out, get casualties, bring them back to you. So I drove that vehicle, which was in Korea. That was my first duty station, and we had the laterals.
Oh yeah.
To turn. You had to pull on different ones of the laterals, and I actually broke a bridge in Korea, and we didn't share that with anybody because if you had never been stationed in Korea, if you break anything over there, it costs the U.S. government millions because everything is protected in Korea, and if you run over break a bridge or hit a pillar or run over part of someone's yard or whatever, everything.
Or a Korean.
Yeah, or a person. Yeah, so
it happens.
Something wrong.
If you have any hate mail, there'll be a link in the description of Drew's email. You're not sending mail to Brad.
They dry their rice on the road, and if you run over that rice, that costs big time too.
Oh,
yeah.
Right.
Well, so if
it's been nice knowing you, Drew.
Yeah.
You're lost all your subs.
Yeah.
I do not endorse this channel.
Let me tell you the bridge breaking story because it's pretty funny, and I was actually not planning on telling that story, but it just popped into my head because I was talking about that. But so it's wintertime in Korea. In wintertime, everything freezes and gets super cold. It's the coldest I've ever been in my life when I was in Korea because it's a wet, sticky cold, and you just cannot get warm in Korea. But we were going to the field, and we're going across this bridge, and the whole convoy was over the top of the hill of this bridge. And I was lagging because a 577 is heavy. It's a track vehicle. I'm on the ice, and I got this thing screaming up the hill. All out. I mean, I got it on the floor, and we're doing like 4 miles an hour. But the thing about it is when you crest over the top of that hill and those tracks catch, like you go now. It'll pick up some speed really quick. So I come over the top of this hill, and it starts picking up speed at the top. And I'm coming over the top of the hill, and now I'm starting to cook because I'm like, well, I got to catch up with the convoy. I come over the top of the hill, and they're stopped. They are completely stopped. So here I go, locking up the laterals, and we're sliding sideways down past. We passed like 4 vehicles sideways.
Just wave as you go. Bye.
My platoon sergeant was the TC. He's hanging out the hatch up the top, and he is losing his mind because we're out of control. And it's frozen, and the track pads are made out of rubber. You're not going to get any traction sliding down the side of this hill. So we slide right into the side of the bridge, boom, and cracks the bridge. And he's like, just go. Just go.
Just go.
Well, luckily we survived that, but that's my funny 577 story in Korea.
Oh, that's hilarious. So let me ask, being a field Marine, and you were in the field, and well, you were in the Air Force.
This is the field.
This is it.
He's in the field right now.
I don't have cable. I don't have cable.
When we went to the field, we used to take a milk crate and we used to bolt the toilet seat to the top of the milk crate. But when you're out in the middle of the desert, as you can probably attest, and you have to go to the bathroom, I have sat there on a milk crate as a convoy of 200 vehicles have passed me by while I was filling up my black tank, reading the paper, trying to look inconspicuous.
It ain't no
And
thing,
everybody
man.
has to honk the horn and wave and make every single kind of people were throwing toilet paper at me. Wouldn't be bad now, but then
Yeah, where's that at now?
it was. Have you ever had anything like that happen?
We really didn't pay much attention. I deployed to Iraq twice, and the first time I deployed was the initial push, 3 from Kuwait up to Iraq, and there was really no shame in our game, man. We'd dig a cat hole around the side of the road, convoy going by, and did what you had to do back then. And then once we got to a fixed compound, which wasn't very fixed, we burned it. And if you were lowest ranking, you were burning.
And can you tell us how to do that?
Make sure you pick up the correct end of the stick.
Explain. Can you go into, so pretend I have no
important.
idea about burning. Please enlighten me in your burning technique.
So if you take a 5-gallon barrel and you saw it in half, and you take the end of it, and then you utilize the facilities into that bucket. A lot of people use it in that bucket, and then once the bucket gets filled, the platoon sergeant goes, "Hey, Wag, I need you to go out and take care of the latrine, because this bucket is now the latrine." And so you go out there with your 5-gallon barrel of MoGas, and you pour a bunch in there, and then you light it. And then you take a mop or a broom handle and you stir it. And you stir it and you stir it until it's gone.
See, you have no problem dumping the black tank in your RV then, do you?
Oh, that's piece of cake, man. Compared to
I did it today.
stirring the pot.
Yeah. Oh, all right. So we have 31 into the stream. We have a lot of people in here, man. And awesome people.
Yeah, cool.
So I want to thank Endless RVians in here. I mean, the Dupreys are in here. Lily Gypsy's in here. We just have a ton of people. Mel and Nettie are in here. Just awesome people. We have the Incredible Hulk is in here. Justin and the Great White North, take off. Hey, Justin, if you haven't played my intro, go back and watch it. There's some Canadian stuff for you in it. Bars. Now, who wants to tell some bar stories?
My wife's sitting right there.
That's okay. You can pick which bar story.
Maybe it's okay for you, Dustin. I'll tell you later, Dustin.
Honestly, I don't remember a lot of the bar stories.
There's got to be some cool bar stories.
Yeah, I was in Korea too.
Yeah.
Yeah. The drinking the $1 beers that were the size of your arm. Did you guys have those? Huh?
No, I don't remember that.
You didn't have the huge beers for like $1?
I just remember soju tents and OB.
Mm-hmm.
What part of Korea?
And Miss Kim burgers, which
I
don't even know what that was.
Well, what part of Korea were you in, Michael?
Yeah,
when were you there?
I was stationed at Osan, but like I said earlier, we went all over the peninsula. So we'd go up to we'd actually go up to Humphreys a lot and hang out with the Army guys because curfew was an hour later up there.
Oh, wow.
So we'd stay out an hour later. Like that was a good idea.
Yeah.
What time did you guys have to be back in the base?
On the weekends, I think it was like midnight or 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
You had curfews.
And then I think at the hump it was an hour later for some reason, but nobody else was. I mean, Young Sun, Red Cloud, all Casey, Young, and all those other places were all pretty much on board. But they don't have a curfew at all now.
Really?
We didn't have a curfew when I was in Japan.
Wow.
As long as you weren't on
no
post.
curfew there.
Yeah, we had to be back in the barracks at 0500 to get up and go run our 12 miles that we ran every single day.
We didn't do that.
We ran a lot in Korea. We ran a lot.
So
And it's challenging too, because when you go out to PT, PT is physical training for those non-military folks. When you go out to PT in Korea, the installations are really small. So generally we'll go off the installation to run so you get more mileage in. The problem is the rice paddies.
Mm-hmm.
Rice paddies in Korea are fertilized with human fertilizer. If you didn't know that,
They didn't burn it.
No, they didn't burn it. They just threw it in the rice field. So if you're getting rice from Korea, spoiler alert. But it's challenging.
High in fiber.
But as you're running, you're like running, you're feeling good, and then all of a sudden a whiff will hit you, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
So you gotta fight through the dry heaving when you're running in Korea.
Yeah.
So
when I first got to Korea, got off the plane, it was like in March, and I'm like, what is that smell? Because all the rice paddies right on the other side of the flight line. And yeah.
So we figured out a way because they do the same thing in Japan. We figured out a way to get around that. We would go out drinking and get back at base at 4:59. We had Reveille at 0500. So we hit the rack, you put one leg in, they blow Reveille, you take your leg out, you get up, you put your PT shorts on, and then you run drunk.
Oh yeah.
And it's great because you're running and you're doing this the whole way, and everybody's like getting rid of your out. By the time you finish your 12 miles, you're sober and just good to go. Yeah.
The whole formation smells like a refinery.
Yeah, it smells like a distillery running down the way. Yeah, the whole thing. The people would come out and go, "What in the hell?" So that's how we got around the smell.
Yeah, I had a buddy of mine. He could run. He would run better drunk than he could sober.
Oh, yeah.
He just good.
Good too.
We spent a lot of time drinking in Korea, but we spent a lot of time in the field. So when we weren't in the field, we wanted to be hanging out drinking. And I was not married to Leslie at the time, but so I could go and do whatever I wanted, but which I cannot now.
She's gonna punch you. If I see a fist come across the screen, it'll be epic.
Right.
See Scout come flying over.
That up in slow motion.
Yeah, but Korea was I don't know, I don't remember where I was going with this, but
It was a wholesome place. That's what you're trying to say.
You can do whatever you wanted.
Oh, great.
yeah, we drank a lot because we were in the field a lot, and I was up on the DMZ, which they've closed down now and all moved further south. But I was at a place called Camp Gary Owen, and I was in the Armored Cavalry. And it was, again, this was right after my medical training. This was my first duty station. So right out the gate, I was at an all-male installation, and we were right on the DMZ. So we had a strict curfew. I think we were back on base by midnight. And even off base, there was a small little village. It wasn't much. It's called Moonsan was the name of the little town out there. So there's a couple of little bars. But for the most part, we would back on. When we would take a pass, we would go down to Camp Casey, which is Tongdishan, or we'd go down to Yongsan, which is even farther south down by Seoul. And then sometimes we'd take, because there was only like so many people in the platoon, somebody's percentage that could have a pass at one time. So they might issue like 1 or 2 overnight passes per platoon over a weekend where they could go down to TDC or Yongsan and stay overnight, like on base there at the base hotel or off base down there. But sometimes we just took a weather pass, which means we were going whether we got a pass or not.
Right. we weather passed a lot. I got in a lot of trouble in Japan. Surprising.
What?
Yeah, go figure. I figured out that I could take my paycheck, which wasn't much, being a low enlisted man that I was, but I could take my paycheck and go into the PX, which is like the base store where there's no tax. So for everybody that's not in the service, you can buy stuff super cheap, like booze, and you don't pay any tax on that. So I would take my sea bag, which is a very large duffel bag that they issued us, and I would stuff as much booze as I could afford into the sea bag. And then I would go out in town and sell it back to the Japanese and make a ton of money.
Yeah, I knew.
And it was all weird money. So it was like Monopoly money. It's like, here, you walk into a bar, you just kind of throw this stuff on the table, drinks for everybody. But my skipper, the captain, found out I was doing that, and I got called in front of the skipper, and he said, Lance Corporal Pericchini, you're not going to make more money than I am on this post. And I said, well, sir, sorry, I thought of the idea first.
Want to bet?
Yeah, hold my beer, basically. So I got in a lot of trouble. I was told to knock that off. But I mean, it was smart. I thought it was really smart. I was being creative.
Yeah, I did stuff like that in school. We had a limit on, we can only buy like 1 case of beer a day and 2/5 of liquor a day. And there was people be running up to us all the time. Hey man, have you used up your quota for the day? Because I'm out. I'm like, dude, it's noon. We had got to a case of beer and 2 bottles of Jack already.
Yeah, we had ration cards in Korea too. I don't know when they did away with ration cards, but we can only buy so much. So we made friends with the guys who didn't drink so much, so that they could sell us their rations.
When were you in? When were you guys in the service?
You mean in Korea or in the service? I was in the service from 96 to 2016, but I was in Korea 97 to 98.
Okay. And when were you in?
I joined in 87, and I'll let you know when I'm done.
Okay. So we were
I got 3 more years left, and I was in Korea in 93, 94.
So we were in the service at the same time, because I was 90 through 94, and I was in Japan in 93-ish, 94, and I got out at Camp Pendleton. So just see if we chewed the same dirt at the same time.
Well, my plane landed in Japan on the way to Korea.
I went to Korea for vacation instead of coming here. Korea was the craziest place I've ever been to. You're sitting at a bar at 12 o'clock midnight, and then when it turns 12 midnight, the lights go out, the bar lights come on, and it's a strip club. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. I was like, what just happened?
I can't confirm or deny that.
Yeah. We were everybody's friend because I was a medic. So in Korea, everybody would come wanting like IVs and stuff before we went out drinking. So we'd get all hydrated up through IVs, and so we could last longer, drink longer, not have as bad of a hangover. Or sometimes the next morning you'd need an IV. So, or we'd give ourselves IVs and stuff. And we were also popular because we could fix people up without the command really knowing about it. So
you got the little stick,
The problem is I was drunk too, So we're stumbling back on the post. My buddy just got cracked in the back of the head with a beer bottle. He's bleeding down his thing, and it's split wide open. He's like, man, I can't let the commander find out. And you got to hook me up. So we go into the aid station because I got a key to the aid station. Go to the aid station, and I'm wasted, And so now I got to try to shave a little spot off, and then I got to try to stitch this dude up. I'm trying to see how you ever get so drunk you're texting out of one eye?
Yeah.
Try stitching somebody that way. So ended up I shaved a way bigger patch than he needed.
Like a barracks barber.
Yeah. And he had this it was a wicked gash too. It was like a Z shaped. It wasn't even straight. So it was Z shaped, and I was like, man, I don't think I'm gonna be able to stitch this up, man, because it's crooked and I'm drunk, and I just gave you a wicked haircut.
Get your initials in the back of his head.
And he's like, just do it, man. Just do it, man. And I was like,
it says I love wags and stitches on the back.
So I was like,
Please subscribe.
I was like, look, man. I was like, I got the staple gun. I was like, look, and he's like, man, you gotta numb it up, man. I was like, look, man, if I stick you, I'm gonna have to stick you like 3 or 4 times to numb it up. It's only gonna take like 3 or 4 staples. You might as well just take the staples. He took it like a champ too. Well, that was probably better because he was drunk anyway. But I mean, pow, and he was, yeah, he had this big patch, the wicked looking scar with the 4 staples that were probably crooked too, but he lived.
And nobody noticed, right?
Man never found out about it, and we were all good.
Oh man.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, we have stories like that. We used to go ask our corpsmen to change out our blood all the time. Nobody messed with so when you're in the Marine Corps and the Army, nobody messes with the medics. You could be in the gnarliest bar fight in the middle of nowhere, and if there was a medic standing there, all the Marines would go around the medics because they knew this guy's going to fix us. No matter how beat up we got, that guy's going to fix us and make us look better so we go back on duty.
Yeah,
So-
I've taken care of both sides of the fight. You know, even guys that weren't in my unit, I'd still hook them up and fix them up if I could. But yeah, there were some gnarly bar fights in Korea, man.
Oh yeah, there were some in Japan. Well, there was some in Fort Knox, Kentucky. We decided to go out. We only got leave one time to go, and it was during the Gulf War. We were just about ready to hop over. I didn't get to serve in that, but we were getting ready to go over, and then you guys won, so whatever. But
All right.
we went out to the E Club, 10 of us.
Yeah,
And of course, some Army guy wanted to see how tough the Marines were, so he pushed us. And we just kept drinking and said nothing, and he did it again, and then all hell broke loose. And there were fists flying, chairs flying, MPs coming in, and Marines diving out windows.
oh yeah. And I always had that one
running.
friend that just loved to fight. He just want to start some stuff with anybody. You know, he's like, Waggle, patch me up. Same dude that got cracked with the bottle. Yeah.
So that was Marine Corps and Army and Air Force. What about Chow? What did you guys do for Marine Corps? Chow was just horrible.
Room
Well,
service.
it depends. I mean, it was good at times, and depending on where you're at. When we were in Korea, it was pretty good. And on the military installations, it's pretty decent. But early on in deployments, like Iraq, it was pretty bad at first. We didn't even have like chow. We had MREs and hot bottled water. So it just kind of varies from place to place on chow.
Yeah, I'll agree. I've been to some Army posts that had really good food. The chow hall at Camp Lejeune actually has a sushi bar.
Wow.
I never
haven't
made it
even
over
been
to the
I haven't
island.
even been to an Air Force chow hall that had anything like that.
Oh, I
They
got
had
a
a
chow
sushi bar and hibachi.
Really?
Yeah,
I guess they're just rolling deep over there. We
they
got
are rolling.
one time when we were in Japan. They decided the Japanese. We had Japanese cooks over there while we were stationed on base. So somehow we got lobster, and we were taking these lobsters and shoving them in our cargo pants from the chow hall. So we were walking out with 10 lobsters in each cargo. You can fit a lot of lobsters in there. We smelled like fish for weeks. We could not get the smell of the lobster out of our fatigues, but we ate good. That was good chow. I'll tell you what.
Now I'll tell you, when I was in Korea at Osan, that was probably the worst chow hall food I've ever had anywhere, ever. It's the only place I've ever been where you could get a hamburger that was completely raw in the middle and burnt on the outside.
Yeah, that's tough.
And because the dude would take those frozen patties, he'd throw it on the grill, and he wouldn't turn that patty over until the top of that burger was brown, and then he would turn it over. Well, if the top is brown, that was frozen. What do you think the bottom is? It's black. But it was some nasty food, and the one person I went in there one time for a midnight to do a chow run at midnight for some people. Guy was making a cake, and he was stirring the batter with his arm. He was elbow deep in a big vat. Like, I guess I won't be eating cake. But at the same time, I went to a place, another base in Korea, had the best food. 35 people on the base. And they were like, "Are you guys staying for chow? Because if you are, we need to let the cooks know so we can get an extra steak for you guys."
Wow.
Oh yeah, we're staying.
We're staying for steaks.
Yeah.
Mel's like he loves eating the MRE cheese. I tell you what, the time I had my problem where they played the practical joke on me, I couldn't get enough MRE cheese and peanut butter.
Oh yeah, you're trying to plug the block or block it up, man.
Yeah,
That'll do it. That'll do it.
that stuff will block you. I like the crackers. I like
Yeah,
the MRE crackers.
Try eating those without anything to drink, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like 2 bites.
Yeah. Well, hey, I got a funny chow story. So during the first Iraq deployment that I went, like I said, when we first got over there, we just had MREs and hot bottled water. And then it went to like hot A's, which is like big canned food that they just heated up. It's already pre-cooked, prepared. They just heated up. We went to that. And then toward the end of the deployment, we actually had like a chow hall. I'd call it a chow hall, but it was just a big tent, like a circus tent. And they brought in like contractors to like fix us chow. And the compound that I was on, we got hit a lot with mortars and rockets, and it was usually every night we'd get hit with mortars and some rockets. So it became pretty normal stuff. And so you hear the little thump, and you just kind of wait for the first boom, boom, and then you run away from the boom. And then because it's usually just a couple of guys in the back of a pickup truck with a mortar tube, and they're shooting the same, like 3 or 4 rounds from the same spot. So as long as you don't, the first boom doesn't hit you, you're good. You move away from it and you're safe. But we got this chow hall, and it was the first day that we got the chow hall. And I had just gotten my chow, and I was like, this is glorious. This is awesome. You know, I had this styrofoam thing, and it had like real meat and real food. I had a cookie, and it was sitting on top of my styrofoam thing. And I worked in the aid station. I worked trauma. I was a trauma medic for that deployment, and so we didn't go have the luxury of like sitting down in the chow hall, but we get our food and we go back because we got traumas running in all the time. So I'm walking back, and it's the happiest day of my deployment so far because I got food and I got a cookie, you know. And I'm walking back, and then I don't hear any thud, no thump, no nothing, you know. I'm just walking, all of a sudden, just boom, a mortar hits like 100 yards from me, and I drop my shit. Oh, I'm sorry. I dropped my food, you know, because it scared me. It took me off guard. I didn't hear a thump or nothing, you know, and we never get hit during the day, you know. And just so happened the first meal, boom, cookie and everything, man. It's on the ground, you know. And I'm like, oh, and because the circus tent is not a secure area, you got to get to a bunker or a building with a hard top until the all clear is given, and then you can go back. Well, I run back inside, and one of the walls we had was just sandbags with like just little peepholes that you could see out and stuff. And so we're always like looking out to see what's going on when the all clear is and stuff. And so I run back into the aid station. I'm looking out. I'm looking at my cookie and my meal laying on the ground. I had to wait like an hour before the all clear, and then when I got back, the chow hall's closed. Like, so I didn't get my first good meal. I had to wait until dinner chow to get a first deal. That's my chow story.
Purple Heart.
Yeah. And it was so crazy too, because I stood there for a second and I was like walking, I'm so happy, and like boom, and I was like, oh, no way that just happened. You know? I'm not concerned about my life or my limbs.
Right, you want your cookie.
My cookie's on the ground.
That really pisses me off. They killed my cookie.
It's crazy what your priorities are when you're deployed.
Oh, I get it, man. When you're out there and you haven't had hot chow in a long time, and you're eating MREs, and they come through finally with the big vats of hot chow.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
Something that's from the 1950s, and you eat it, and it's like the best thing ever.
Yeah. Morale goes way up when you get hot. You'd be surprised what hot chow does for morale.
Yep. Hot chow and a hot shower.
Yeah, well, we used to cook our meals in the back of the tank. We just turn on the turbine engine and just
probably not safe.
But it worked. We did a lot of things that were not. We used to take chunks of C4, you could cut them and put them in the track where the tracks go together, the little spot there where the end connectors went on. You could put your C4 in there and you light it on fire, and you put your coffee cup on it and you make your coffee. The new guys run for the hills. As soon as you light that C4, everybody runs. And I'm just sitting there making coffee because it just burns. It won't blow up.
Yeah, heat and pressure is what causes it to go off. So if you drop it and then try to stomp on it, you'll lose a leg.
Right. But if you just sit there and put it down there and light it, you're good to go. It'll burn forever. It was great. And it made all the new people run away from me, so I quiet while I have my coffee. It was like twofold. It was great.
That's awesome.
Oh, dude, I kind of miss the camaraderie of the service, you know?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because
that's one of the things I miss the most.
People just that haven't been in the service and haven't done what we've gone through, you have this bond. And you can do stuff to each other that most normal people would not say is acceptable.
Oh, yeah.
Like super gluing your friend's boots to the ground before inspection.
Oh, just the boots. Okay. Yeah. I thought you were going somewhere else with the super glue.
No.
Well, it probably has gone further than that.
It has. We're going to try and keep this clean so YouTube doesn't like mute us. But yeah. No, let's see. We burned off all the paint of the battalion wife's car.
Oh my gosh.
So we were in the tanks, and we were, they're jet engines. They're the
Mhm.
same turbine engine that's on a helicopter.
Yeah.
And we have ground guides. So if somebody sits in front of the tank and make sure we don't run into something, and somebody sits behind the tank. Well, the battalion commander's wife thought she was special. So she wasn't listening to the ground guide. So she pulled up in her car just like you would a normal car in an everyday driving down the street. And I was driving, and I hit the gas, and that turbine spooled up, and it caught the whole front of her car on fire.
That's terrible.
Yeah, I got in trouble for that.
I'm sure you were heartbroken.
Yeah. Well, I got a talking to, but it wasn't my fault. One of the funniest things was getting a speeding ticket off road in the tank by MPs. Yeah. So we're cruising off road. If anybody's ever been up to 29 Palms, we call it the wash ramp. And we're off road, just cruising down, and we're doing about, 35, 40. And I'm buttoned up because you can't drive the tank off road with the hatch open. The gun will cut your head off. And we're cruising. You lay down on your back to drive, and you look through the little periscopes, and it's a steering wheel job. And my tank commander calls down. My TC goes, Drew, you're going to need to stop the tank. You're not going to believe this. So I pull over. He goes, crack your hatch. So I crack the hatch, and it'd been raining, and it's muddy. And these two MPs come out, and they're covered in mud from a Humvee from head to toe. And they've been chasing us for like 10 miles, and they couldn't catch us. And they actually gave me a ticket that went against my license. You get points against your license. You don't have to pay anything for speeding off road.
That's crazy.
If I had ammo, I'd have traversed the turret and blew them away. Well, you get a ticket for freaking off road. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of funny stuff that we do, but there's a lot of great stuff that the community does too. And a lot of those people are forgotten now, and they're kind of being pushed aside, and Dustin's and the WAGs have really got something going. So why don't we go ahead? We're at 57 minutes right now. We have 28 awesome people watching us that have probably laughed really hard. I wonder if anybody spit their drink across the room. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about what your program is, Dustin?
Early on in our channel, we before we were monetized, we wanted to do something for the veteran community. So we started honoring fallen heroes at the end of each of our videos. We still do that now, even after we've been monetized. And since we became monetized on YouTube, we take a percentage of everything that we earn on YouTube and donate that to veteran organizations or veterans in need, spouses, or veteran organizations. And we've been steadily getting more and more. We've given away 3 donations now. Each one's bigger than the last. And I say a percentage of everything because there's different percentages on different platforms. Like our super chats, we give away 100% of that. All our donations on PayPal, 100%. And then Patreon is tiered. The more you give, the more we give. And so we're just fortunate to be out here. We figured, that these people are the reason that we have the freedom to do what we can do, to live this lifestyle. So the least that we can do is give something back to the veteran community.
Yep. And our epic adventure, do you want to talk about your channel real quick and what you're doing over there?
We're just trying to live in the shadow of Wayward Wags, man. In all seriousness, before we even started this RV adventure, I had I had a calling in my heart to try to help veterans who, especially those suffering from TBIs and PTSD like I am. And that was the biggest reason we moved to Fort Bragg, because there's a lot of folks, unfortunately, in that same situation there, and trying to help them heal and get through, the stuff and the demons they're dealing with. And so now, after watching, in all seriousness, watching, Wayward Wags' videos before we ever started our own channel, and seeing what, Dustin and Leslie were doing, we wanted to kind of model that same thing and try to be more local with helping out different military related charities, or even people that we know in different areas. So we're trying to get to that point where we can actually start doing something, and actually Dustin has helped us a little bit and given us some pointers and some ideas, and And so Shelly and I, my wife Shelly, and Talon, my service dog over here, which you may have seen pop up. That's not her, that's Doug, right there. But we're just trying to do what we can to help the community. We're what Shelly came up with. We're calling it we're RVing with a purpose. And the purpose is to help fellow vets.
Yeah,
that's awesome. And I'm working on getting monetized myself. So if you could run my playlist, I would really appreciate that. Put it on shuffle and run that. And then what I'm going to do is 100% of my super chats are going to get donated to Dustin and the WAGs to go ahead and give the vets and stuff. And then we're going to take a percentage of what we get for the channel. We're going to donate that to a charity that you all pick. We like to donate to Make-A-Wish. I like to give, little ones that get a wish. And then a portion of the channel is going to go back to the community. If we can save up enough money at GoPros and drones and that kind of stuff and help out, and you guys can go record and make memories. And if you want to put them up on YouTube, put them on YouTube. Or if you just want to record your lifestyle and your family for future, we're going to do that. And then a portion's going to help pay for like my epidemic sound and stuff like that, so I can keep making videos and stuff. So it'd really help me out if you could just run that playlist. And if you haven't subscribed to Wayward Wags or Our Epic RV Adventure, please do so. They're awesome channels, and help them out. All three of us are trying to do something good for the vets.
Mm-hmm.
And I need a little bit of your help to do it.
We appreciate you having us on tonight, man. I was just on with you on Friday, and I think that tonight was kind of what people needed to kind of have a break of the craziness that's going on and just have fun and just laugh. And I don't know how everybody in the chat feels, but I had an awesome time tonight, man. I had a good time, not thinking about all the craziness of the world. So appreciate that. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I did. I didn't say this either, Drew. I want to say it earlier. It's like whatever. I mean, we're a long way from monetization. I think we're close. We're only 3,000 hours and 400 subscribers, so we're on the edge, right? But every dime, same boat. I mean, we're either going to be giving it to Dustin and Leslie to make their checks bigger, or we're going to be finding charities of our own or a combination of both. But we're better together. That's what Shelly, my wife, just yelled. If you didn't hear it, she said, "We're better together." So run some playlists.
Yeah. If
Amazon shop, buy some stuff.
Yeah.
I don't do the Amazon stuff you guys do, but my stuff on my website, if you click on it, I don't make money on that. It's just, I do it for, the family members and stuff, and future family members. It's stuff we really use. But anyway, enough of that. So go ahead and end like you usually end your videos. Our Epic RV, how do you end your videos? Go ahead and do that. Do you have a catchphrase?
Not yet, but usually we'll say something like, just stay safe. We hope we see you down the road.
Okay. Dustin?
We normally end ours, like I said, by honoring a fallen hero.
Right.
We don't have the technology to bring that up. So usually at the end of the lives, we'll just say, hey, if you have served in the military, thank you for your service. If you're currently serving, thank you for what you do. All of our first responders, EMS, firefighters, police officers, thank you for what you do in the community. And for right now, thank you for all the healthcare providers out there, because you guys are keeping it together, and we appreciate you.
You're crushing it out there. And, just real quick before I end it, if you see elderly people, there was a story today of an elderly person was afraid to get out of their car and go shopping. If you can go and help an elderly person do some shopping and stuff that might be more at risk, now's a good time to let your true colors come through and maybe really step up and help somebody out. A little bit of giving right now will go a long way to make somebody's life or somebody's day a lot better. That's all I'm going to say about this. We're going to keep it light. I'm going to end my video like I end all of them, by saying, I love you, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Take care, be safe, and be well.
Bye.
Bye.